Hi everybody, how you doing? I hope you're all right. Now, I just wanted to have a quick chat today, really, and start a conversation about looking after ourselves as musicians. Now, I'm no spring chicken myself, and I'm sure a lot of you, according to my demographics, you aren't either. I know that a lot of you are working musicians, or you do stuff on YouTube, or you teach, all that kind of stuff. But even if you're kind of playing at home, it's important to kind of look after yourself. Now, my reason for this is this last week I've been effectively out of action because of sciatica. I got a really bad flare up on Sunday, and then kind of Monday, Tuesday, I was in such pain I couldn't do anything. I was kind of stuck really. And then as the week went on, I've been, the painkillers have kind of kicked in, and the pain's been managed, and I've been able to kind of do stretches and stuff that I'd been given by physio previously. And it's still there. I still got a lot of leg pain, but it's abated quite a lot. And it got me really thinking about some of the bad habits I've developed as a musician and how it's affected, my body and my ability to kind of recover or to, my strength, all that kind of stuff. Now, I've really focused on my vocal health over the last couple of years, especially since, COVID and that kind of stuff. And, and living in Scotland as well, the weather can get, it's brilliant today, but it can get very damp and cold a lot of the year, so you get colds and flu and that kind of stuff. Plus I'm asthmatic, so it's important for me to look after my lungs, so I don't smoke or anything like that. And I did lots of kind of vocal exercises and learned a lot of vocal training so that I'd have the stamina to get through covers gigs, because I do a lot of rock stuff as well, so I didn't want to lose my voice at every gig and completely knacker it. So I focused on that, but I completely ignored my posture and how I was lifting things. So I mainly do solo acoustic gigs, and most of those gigs I'm taking the PA myself and everything, guitars, and because I always take a spare guitar and lots of leads and stuff. So it's one or two trips to the car and back. I try and minimise it because often I have to park away from the venue. And I've got a bag full of leads, and then I've got a speaker in one hand, and then there's a guitar over, trying to get everything in as much as I can, then maybe nip back for my kind of bag with the mic stands and stuff in it, bring that in. And sometimes it's up a hill. If you gig in Edinburgh, there's hills everywhere, often cobbly streets as well, which doesn't help. And then you're just kind of getting set up, quick sound check, and away you go, and then you play for 2 hours, and down it goes again, and back out in reverse. And I hadn't really been thinking about the fact that I'm just putting all this weight on my shoulders, my back, and just probably walking badly, going up pub steps and stuff like that, and then forgetting that I'm not 20 anymore, and I can't run up a pub fire escape with a 4x12 like I used to when I was young, without doing some damage. But then I also noticed that when I'm playing, I think I've got one leg slightly shorter than the other. So I developed this habit of kind of leaning back slightly and leaning on my left, putting all my weight on my left leg, so I was kind of leaning on it. And then my right leg was just slightly raised, so it kind of raised my guitar slightly because I'm playing acoustic. And that was kind of the position I got into, and then I would just the mic would be here, and that'd be me for the 2 hours, just kind of playing and singing like that. Because I did notice, especially in the last couple of years, that this left leg you'd feel a bit tired and sore at the end of the night because it was taking all the weight. And I wasn't really moving. I mean, obviously, I'm not a dancer. I'm not moving about really very much. And when you're in a pub, you're kind of in a small space anyway, usually. I don't play big stages. I get stuck in the corner. They move a few tables out of the way and stick me in the corner, and I don't really have room to move about, so I'm kind of in that position for the whole time. And even getting the equipment in and out, for some reason, pub doors in Scotland, because the buildings are very old, a lot of them, they just try and find the tiniest door they can find to stick in. So you're coming in sideways and all the rest of it. There's often stairs in the way, or I play in Edinburgh, I have to go downstairs to get in, and then squeeze past people with things on my back and carrying speakers and that kind of stuff. So I'm twisting the wrong way and turning, and it's no good. It just knackers you. So I just really wanted to just ask the question: how are you looking after yourself? And if you're not, why not? Is it a bit like with me? It's just because I'm a bit daft, and it's taken me a while to realise something has happened first before I've realised, you need to watch this. Because as I say, I've been looking after my voice, I'm looking after my lungs, but I completely ignored my back. John Nathan Cordy, he's got a YouTube channel. One of my favourite channels, really, really good guy, really good guitar player. He was talking about getting hand injuries from playing a particular type of guitar neck, and just having to watch that. Now, thankfully, my hands have been okay. I think I've looked after them as well, because I've warmed up a lot, because I did a lot of teaching, especially online in recent years. And I'm always warming up for lessons and things like that. So now I'm in the habit of warming up before I go out to a gig, and when I first get there. So my hands have been fine, but yes, it's just been my back, because of carting all this stuff about, because there's only me at the gigs. But even if you're not a gigging musician, you can still have these problems, because I'm sat in front of a screen now, recording this video. I'm sat in a chair it's an old knackered gamer chair that's half collapsed. It doesn't raise anymore, so I've got cushions on top of it. And it's probably been terrible for my posture, my back, because this is where I sit when I teach as well. And I'm often kind of bent over, I've got my mouse and keyboard here, and if I've got a guitar, and like the clip at the beginning of me playing my Gretsch, I'm often bent over when I'm playing the guitar, because I'm looking at the notes, whatever, I'm getting into it, especially if I'm sat in this chair doing it. So, my back's humped basically, and it's my fault. So that's what you got to do. But I want to try and get better at looking after myself that way as well. So things like just being really conscious of where I'm putting my feet and what I'm leaning on and where the pressure is, and changing that position throughout the gig. Now, I played a few songs last night. I managed to get myself over to Glasgow to play a friend's gig, and I did some songs, and I'll put in a quick clip of that.
You can't turn the world around. You can't shout without a sound. You can't move without falling down. You can't turn the world around.
So you can have a look at that. And you might see in the clip I'm shifting a little bit, because I'm trying to shift off my left leg, because my body just goes into its habit, but my left leg's still got quite a lot of pain from the sciatica, because it radiates down the thigh and kind of around the knee and stuff. So you can see me kind of shifting back onto my right leg, and just trying to adjust as I play. And thankfully, the painkillers were working last night, so I was able to kind of play. But I don't want to be dependent on having to pop some Cocodamol before I can play a gig, because that's a dodgy road to go down. So basically, I'm at the stage now where I'm kind of doing a lot of stretching and stuff, and I've got that knowledge from when I had a previous back injury with a car accident. I had a lot of physiotherapy, and she gave me lots of good exercises and stuff. So I just need to get back into making sure I'm doing that when I'm feeling well as when I've got pain, and just being I'll probably buy a hand cart for the PA stuff now, just to protect my back, because I forget, and I think most of us do, when we're carting all this stuff in, we've still got to play a gig for 2 or 3 hours, and then set it down and bring it back again. So we kind of literally break our backs trying to earn a crust, and it's not really worth it, because I don't want to get to 60, 65 and be stuck in a chair, because I've hammered my spine too much, or I've slipped a disc or something like that. So anyway, that's just what I wanted to talk about today, and what I'd like you to do is just have a chat in the comments. Just have you realised this? Maybe you're 20 years old and super fit, and it hasn't crossed your mind, but trust me, start getting into the good habits now. Have you encountered the same thing? Have you even with hand injuries or anything else, or maybe you've blown your throat out, or maybe you've whatever, and how have you recovered from that? What have you done to and what do you do to look after yourself now? So feel free to dive in with that. I just thought I'd kind of have a chat about that today. Be more guitar reviews and stuff coming up shortly. As I say, I've not been able to do so many videos lately because I've been working a lot, and then obviously this week's been a bit of a blowout really with my back. So keep your eyes and ears peeled for new things coming. I've got some things that I wanted to do. But yeah, so, and if you're gigging this weekend, look after yourself. Or, you know, even if you're just playing at home and you're doing whatever, look after yourself, because you only get one body, obviously. And just watch that posture as he sits up straight. See you later.